So my Greek grandmother would be like, she watched something on TV. I'm not even joking. She watched something on TV. She goes, you see that singer? She'd be like, he's good. He must be Greek. It was fucking Lionel Richie. It's like Lionel Richie. No, I can see his hair. That's Greek curl.
Hello, everyone. Hola, mis amigos. You're listening to Oh My God Hi, Hijo de Dios. Hola. With me, George Lopez. Porque, ¿sabes qué? Let's do the show. Porque I got a lot of things to do. I gotta go to that dry cleaner ahí. My kid fell. Se pegó la cabeza. I gotta go get some Neosporin, Paul.
You know what George is?
Oh, I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
What's his name? George?
Lopez.
George Lopez.
Oh my God!
OMG.
OMG Hi!
Oh my God, hi!
Hey everybody, this is producer Grant here. Just a reminder, if you like the show, if you're enjoying the show, please like, comment, subscribe on any platform you're checking it out on, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything. Any engagement that we have really, really helps. We all serve the almighty algorithm these days, and any amount that you sort of interact with the show in any way just really helps us out, helps us get cooler guests for the show, helps raise the profile for the show, helps give us more content for you guys to enjoy. So thanks again for checking it out, and please enjoy the episode.
In the time that we've been doing this, have we nailed the idea of why people are fascinated with true crime?
No, I have no idea.
What is it?
It's crazy because that's why Law and Order's been on for 30 years. That's why
But it's not just a fucking few people. It's everybody, and it's people that you don't expect.
People in general, I don't follow all this shit because to me it was work. It was a real case, murdered, and I know
Which
what
is
they
even
put on
fucking
TV.
better. Imagine that it was work to him. But that's your work, so you're trying to...
But I loved my job. I really did. I loved it. But what you see are people that want to solve cases because they think, the clue is like playing the game of Clue.
Yeah.
Colonel Mustard did in the kitchen with a rope, so they watch these things, and that's what the intrigue of trying to solve it in the end.
Yeah.
I know because I have my wife and one of my daughter really into this. Dad, what do you think? What do you think?
It occupies so much of what's out there on every streaming platform.
It does, and what's really sad too is when you see the detective who didn't figure it out and retired, and then they're talking, saying it haunts me, and they start crying and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, this guy just because he probably told the family, I'm doing everything, and that family doesn't have answers.
Right.
And now his feet are up in Florida, and it's killing him.
Sure.
Which is.
Could your feet be up if you didn't capture the whale?
The only one that really bothered me, that one that I tell you about, that I know she did it, and we still haven't been able to prove it. She's still off free.
We'll talk about that. So Paul, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Paul
man.
Virzi is a actor. He's a comedian. He is a very talented individual. And also, let's say, is my big fat Greek wedding to you like the man walking on the moon?
No.
Is it? What's the reality? Because Latinos, we use Vicks, we use
right.
But as using ethnicity as comedy, man, like what?
Well, yeah, so that's a funny question because my father's 100% Sicilian, my mother's 100% Greek. Now my father always.
Well, first of all, if you ordered that shit as a pizza, you'd fucking fucked. 6 days. You'd be like, you'd be like, damn.
Yeah.
That motherfucker tasted good. Fuck.
If you got acid reflux, you're fucked.
That shit. Both of those two fucking combinations, man.
Yeah, but my father was Sicilian to the point where he told us Sicilians are the best. Better than Northern Italy. Sicilians are the best. They're the toughest. They're the most loyal.
Is that the mantra from Sicily? Yes.
So my father lived that. Jewelry. I talk about it a lot in the special. The Netflix. And a lot of things, like when people reviewed or talked about my Netflix special, man, the thing with your dad really resonated because my dad had that pride. Now my mother, who was 100% Greek, she didn't push the Greek on to me because my grandmother was so much on my mother with it that my mother pushed it away. So my Greek grandmother, all Greeks, and my mother was like, they kind of had a little bit of a, not in a bad way, but like.
No, but the thing is here, we don't like to just gleam over things. Describe your grandmother to me.
My Greek grandmother?
Yeah.
Everything great was Greek. She would be delusional.
But remember, he said his father said everything great with fucking Sicilian.
So my grandmother, rest her soul, she lived to 99. She
fucking lived to 99 years old?
She lived to 90. Well, the thing about Greeks is their body goes forever. The mind will go. It's like an engine. It's like a car that rusts around the engine, but it's the opposite.
It still starts, but it's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So my Greek grandmother would be like, she watched something on TV. I'm not even joking. She watched something on TV. She goes, "You see that singer?" She'd be like, "He's good. He must be Greek." It was fucking Lionel Richie. It's like Lionel Richie. No, I can see his hair. That's Greek curl. That's Greek. Like that. So, but my mom, since my mom rebelled, my mom didn't take the Greek thing, but my father, told.
You know, that's the hardest I laughed on this fucking podcast. How long have we been doing it? A year and a half?
Yeah.
That's the fucking hardest I've laughed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Out loud.
Well, that means a lot, man.
Because and what did she wear every day? Like, did she wear? She had her look
every day. That's a fucking perfect question. Every day. Every day. Lived alone. My grandfather, rest his soul. My grandfather died young. My grandfather died in, I want to say 1987. He had a heart attack. He was only 66.
Do you still remember?
He was. Everybody
66
says,
is fucking young.
Everybody says that he was me. My Greek grandfather. They were like everyone's like, oh my God, that's Gus. So his real name was Constantine, but everybody called him Gus. And
wait a minute.
I can understand why. Gus and Constantine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say this about America, man.
Yeah.
They changed people's names when they got to Ellis Island. And his name was Constantine, and they called him Gus.
Gus, yeah.
My grandfather worked in construction. He wasn't my biological grandfather, my second, but he was the one who raised me. And his name was Refugio, like Refugio. And he would come back with his helmet, and it would say Rudy on it. And you're like, and I would be like, no puede decir refugio. Fucking Gus. And then the next job, remember the label maker with the circle? You put the fucking thing. Nobody could match them up. There'd be fucking four names, Ralph, and all with the R. But Constantine, listen, Constantine is Constantine. He fucking Gus.
Yeah,
like
Gus. He was the best, man. He was the best. He would go in. He would always joke at my grandmother, because my grandmother was very proper, every day. Even when my grandfather passed, hair done like she was going out, right? Hair done. She'd make her toast and her breakfast and sit down and have her coffee, but dressed to the nines. Nobody's gonna see her. But that's the pride. That's what it was, and she was very, very big on that.
You know what? That goes back to something
that sounds like. All kidding aside, that sounds like my wife and me. I'm the crude, rude, say anything, do anything I want. She's the prim and proper, won't go out, won't be seen, doesn't want to open the door until everything's
perfect,
all in place.
That's a pride thing too. It's I think it's.
Do you know where it goes back? Like what were her parents? What did her parents do? But they weren't in the United States, right? Because they
left Greece, and I think when they came to Greece, it wasn't. They started in Washington Heights in New York, but I think they first went to New Hampshire, and then from New Hampshire they went to Washington Heights, and they grew up there for a while. But I don't know exactly what on the Greek side. I don't really know what my great grandparents did. But the Greek pride stuck with my grandmother, and my mother has one sister, so I have one aunt, and she was the younger one, and my mom says, they're a little harder. My mom was the first one, the oldest daughter, a little harder, so she pushed the Greek away.
How about your aunt? Is she
my aunt? Yeah, my aunt is. She's not like huge Greek, but she didn't butt heads with my grandmother the way my mother did.
That's a great movie. My Fat Greek Wedding. Whatever.
Yeah.
That was a great.
But also,
movie.
she would have never considered remarrying, right?
Who's that?
You think your grandmother? Never. Like they never.
No. Never. One thing I saw, which was pretty amazing, was when I visited her, she went to a home she started getting a little dementia, but late. So it wasn't that bad. It was probably in her late 80s. But when she went to a home and she had friends, I remember she would associate like a male friend. She would say, "Oh, that's Gus." She would, So, but no, she would never, when she was Sound of Mind and during the years, she would never even consider it. No, she just kind of lived on her own, and
Tell you a story.
I had a joke that white ladies would fucking get married. The Latinas would be like, my angel went to heaven. Didn't he light you on fire? Shut you weren't there. And then white ladies are driving back from the funeral, and they're going double back. There's a fucking guy right there. They'll fucking get remarried, and I'll fucking drop him off.
My mom.
I had a joke that said the husband could be dead 65 years. They're 110 eating at fucking Norm's, and they're going, there's that fucking twat. My brother hasn't been dead 65 fucking years. She's going out with some other guy. It's no fucking time could ever pass would make it all right for your grandmother to be holding hands or having coffee with a man. They'd be like,
oh. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story. My mom.
You've been trying to tell me for 3 times.
When my kid was young. She was about 12, 13 years old. My mom sat her down. She says, I know your mother won't tell you this, but I am. I've had 6 daughters. Be careful of those boys. All they want is pussy willow. They'll promise you everything. You keep those legs closed. They want that pussy willow. You just tell them.
Is that pussy willow?
Pussy willow. That's what she's.
That's why we're all fucked up.
And my daughter said, Grandma. I said, no, catching up, Grandma, nothing. They want that pussy willow. So now, my dad passes away. My mom, I'm down at my mom's house visiting. This is about 7 years after my mom passes. And I asked my wife, what's going on with my mom? She seems a little nervous. She says, she's going out with Sam. She's got a dinner date with Sam. Sam, whose wife had passed, his daughters grew up with my sisters. They were all friends, lived 4 houses down from us. He's invited her out for dinner, and she's nervous. And so I said, hey, Mom, so I understand you're going. I didn't want to go out. You know what? I said, don't worry about your, Mom, you go out. You got a life ahead of you. My dad's gone. Go ahead, have dinner, have a good time. My daughter looks, she says, Grandma, just be careful because remember, all they want is that pussy willow, Grandma.
But you don't know, nobody. Yeah, man, it's like, so she got dressed every morning. She sat in the house and she had her routine. And
she had a routine. She'd fold the napkins, clean the house because, you could eat off the floors, everything immaculate. She would just sit there and because that was her day, right? She was alone. She had a couple friends. They would play bridge one day or something. But other than that, it was so getting up and doing that made her feel like the day was kind of normal because you gotta have time.
But I mean, she dressed
yeah, she did.
Dressed.
She did her hair like she was. I mean, her hair to the.
Did she go to a place where she did her own hair? Like all the ladies, in San Fernando, would go to La Casa Cofieres, and.
Oh, not my grandma. No,
she did her own.
Go into the bathroom. She would take a shower, do her thing, and she would do it all. And she'd put things. She'd put a pearl necklace on and do that thing and take care of the kitchen. And
Did you ever see your grandmother with wet hair?
Never.
My wife won't even. I'm not going to say on the air that she puts red shit in her hair, but she doesn't even allow me to see her
henna
like that. I don't know what she.
I never saw my grandmother in pajamas. I never saw her in. And now that you say that, I never saw her in anything other than what you would go out in.
You know what, man? If you were watching a sitcom, man, and you had a sitcom where the grandmother never saw her in pajamas and never saw her other than dressed to the night, and if you did it right, it would be. It's all in the family shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're never going to let you see them like that. And it's rare.
Yeah, but the men are different. My father would eat spaghetti and meatballs and tighty whities and shit. I swear to God, he'd come in tighty whities and just start eating.
Yeah. And how was your dad and him with your grandmother? Was he a prince or was he that hard on?
Oh, you mean with my Italian, with his parents?
Yeah, with his parents.
He was Jesus. He was Jesus Christ. He was just, because he always dressed nice. And that's the thing. There was a line in The Sopranos. I don't know if you remember, but there's a line.
Let's see if I remember.
There was a line in The Sopranos where Meadow.
You want to talk about what I know about?
I'm not going to even try to compare.
There was a line in The Sopranos where Meadow and AJ are in AJ's room, bedroom, and Meadow looked and she said, "You're a boy." In a Sicilian family, you're always going to be first, and that was that's kind of the, and he was firstborn, so it was even more. He's the firstborn Sicilian family man. It was just, and he dressed nice, he dressed the part, he looked the part, handsome guy, very, one of those. So yeah, he got away with, or he can be a certain way, and then
isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it's wild.
Can you vividly remember what his clothes looked like, his shoes, shine and socks? I had an Uncle Johnny. I'm not sure he was really my Uncle Johnny, but he would come over on Sundays occasionally. He lived in
everybody
in
you
East
say,
LA.
by the way, everybody you say, you go, it's not biological, but we called them
nobody's
that.
fucking biological. And Uncle Johnny had a big wife, had a lot of kids, but he was flaquito with a fucking brown pressed fucking hat, skinny dude, fucking shoes, shiny, thin socks. The socks that you could see through the nylon socks. And that was on a Sunday. You never saw that dude without being dressed. And his old lady got out. Had to help her get out of the car. But Uncle Johnny, solid.
My father would say, a man needs a nice watch, shoes, a nice car. He would look at red lights. He would look at bad cars and go, let's look at this fucking guy. This guy's a fucking grown man. There's kids in that car.
Fucking grown
There's
man.
kids in that car. God forbid. You know, like he was. Yeah, he
God
was.
forbid.
He was just a very. You know, he was very polished up. My father. The thing that we didn't do, because they got divorced when I was 5, so I visited my father. But my father, it wasn't.
And where did he live? Where did he live?
He was. Well, he was born in the Bronx area.
Yeah.
You
and
know.
he had his own apartment, and he was fucking.
So then when they got divorced, and I lived in
screen
like
door. Come on, isn't his underwear? Come on in.
yeah, silk pajamas. His pajamas had to be. Yeah, his name. Yeah, his initials.
pajamas.
Oh, his initials engraved in his slippers and shit, like he was a prince. Yeah, it was crazy.
But did he?
No.
Okay.
No, that's the
You
thing.
know what that is? You know what
Yeah,
that is.
yeah, none of that. But is just very, very buttoned up, and that's what it had to be. And but see, jewelry was his. So
See, I haven't heard that word in a long time. Very buttoned up.
Buttoned up,
that's an
and
old phrase, yeah.
jewelry was his thing. So he would so instead of what could you bond? I'm trying to think. Instead of bonding with, I put it this way, I would have bonded with my father better if I was into jewelry. Because he would be, he could talk to you about watches and chains forever. Just diamonds. He knows, all that stuff. But I was a kid. I was into football, basketball, and shit. I wasn't into it.
And he wasn't.
Not really. He took me to 1 or 2 games, but I knew that he was doing it just for me. He wasn't into it. We couldn't bond over, hey, Don Mattingly on the Yankees when I was a kid. We couldn't do that. But if I said, Dad, man, look at that watch right there, he would be like, that's what I'm. Then he would.
But was he into were they Bolivas? Were they Longines? Were they Rolex?
Yeah, more of the Rolex.
Rolexes.
Rolexes. Yeah, but now he's a little older. What's the one that they do on TV? The infomercial, the
Invicta.
The Invicta. So now he's got 60 Invictas just because they got their. Because the thing is, what my father.
The fucking Invicta. He has 60 Invictas.
No, he's got
and it's all the presentation. You buy one, that motherfucker, you can't.
He likes
it's huge.
He likes the presentation of them, and I think since he's older now and he doesn't really go, he just the big thing. So the Invicta got him, yeah.
And he still live. You talk to him. You see him. All the time?
Yeah. I still talk to my dad, all the time. But like I said, it was a different relationship.
And growing up, you're not only child, are you?
No.
Okay, so. How were your brothers and sisters?
So my older brother Christian, who's the firstborn, he's 5 years older than me. Okay, we have the same mother and father. Then my parents got divorced, and my mother remarried and had 2. So my brother Stephen and sister Carissa, but they're 9 and 10 years younger. But Christian and I, same mother, same father. Christian protected me, if I'm being honest, because he saw a lot of evil shit in the divorce. I don't want to say evil, my parents did the best that they could, but he saw more because I'm 5'6", and he's 11, 12, so he got to see and fighting in the early 80s and shit, it was different than it wasn't as common as divorce now is kind of more common.
Yeah.
In the early 80s, and my father was
But also if you're fucking yelling at each other in a neighborhood, all your neighbors can see the door slam or somebody saying, oh, fucking shit, you get in the car and you take off. Your family knows. This
You know what I remember? You guys will appreciate this. I remember my father had 1982. So my father was a big wig at AIG. He was a big wig at AIG, probably 3rd or 4th. Went we had a tutor.
Oh, no shit! He was 3rd or 4th.
He was one of the guys at AIG. Okay, and he was smart guy. And he had a tutor in Scarsdale, which is was really nice, right?
Oh yeah.
So my father had a brand new, but my father cared about materialistic shit, and he wanted people to see. Right?
He wanted people to see him. Yeah.
So he had
And how did he get in AIG? Was he a young guy, smart dude, math?
He didn't go to college for 4 years after he graduated, and then he went to college. So he waited. He worked at a Howard Johnson's. Okay, making getting tips, doing all that. Bought himself his first car.
He was a waiter, a bartender.
I think he was a waiter, and he saved his money. And he always bought the nicest clothes. Bought his first car, a Chevy. He was very proud that he saved his money at Howard Johnson's. Bought a Chevy, did all that, but then he decided to go to college. Went to University of New Mexico and then came back and finished at Iona, did well, and got this job at AIG. Gets married, him and my mother get this tutor in Scarsdale, and my life would be, I probably wouldn't be a comedian, if the things didn't go the way they went.
But let's say that, when you decide to spend, which was really a kind of a gap 4 years.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to go work at Howard Johnson's. I'm going to figure out what the fuck I want to do. Where am I going to go? Because usually people go to college for 2 or 3 years. If they drop out, then they end up at Howard Johnson's, and that's the rest of their life. He went to Howard Johnson's first and said, let me fucking figure out what I want to do. And he did. He saved his money. He bought the things that he liked, and then he decided to.
But he was smart because I think he saw what was going on in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I think when he saw what was going on in Vietnam, and he realized that, like, when I mean, I'm just guessing. We never really fully spoke about it, but I remember hearing Vietnam, and I think he saw that that's kind of, we're losing people. It's kind of a lost. And he's like, well, what am I going to do in my life? Because it was either you go into the. So he was like, you know what? I felt what it was like to be out of school for 4 years in the workforce. Let me go. A family member said, my father's very prideful. A family member said about my father, he would never last in college. He'd be back in a month. And my father said, yeah? And he went and got all A's.
Oh, there you go.
He got all A's. And he
There
said,
you go.
yeah. He said women were, he said, and he was, my
God bless him.
father, good looking. My father, good looking, man. So he said women were, he's told me this one story. He goes, Paul, I had this blonde knocking on my door with a bottle of wine. And he goes, I had to study. I had to get an A. And he did, right? So anyway,
He turned her down?
He turned her down.
Oh,
he was
what
like,
a
well,
wuss.
he probably, knowing my father, he's probably like, give me 2 hours. Let me finish. he ain't going to turn it all the way
me 2
down. Yeah,
hours.
give me 2 hours. I'll meet you at the party. I got to finish this fucking book. So he gets I'll never forget this. He gets a black Jaguar XJ6, white leather. Me and my father, I'm big on
fucking
white leather. I'm big on white leather.
Oh, you are too.
Oh,
You got
no,
it,
white leather's
man.
my fucking, that's it.
My man.
So we start backing out. Our neighbors, I never forget. We had these Jewish neighbors who were also materialistic. And my father, but there are little girls outside. Paul, where are you going? I roll the back window down. Me and my brother in the back of the Jaguar, my mother and father in the thing, and my father's, taking us to McDonald's. So I'm excited. So I roll the window down. I start bragging. I go, we're going to McDonald's. My dad goes, don't tell him we're going to McDonald's. I'm in a Jaguar. You don't tell him we're going to McDonald's. You tell him we're going to a steakhouse. My dad, roll the window up. Don't tell him that shit. But he was like that. He was very much like that whole. But I think it's a different time now.
But you know what, man? What led you to how did you find comedy? Like what?
It was all. And I've said this before, man. It was Eddie Murphy. So 1987, my father. So our visitation days were Sunday. Courts in the 80s only gave my father 12 hours a week with his boys, and there was no like abuse or cheating. It was just that the courts were for the women.
Right.
So we had 8 hours on Sunday, so all day Sunday, and then we had dinner with him on Wednesday from like 5 to 8. We were with him on Wednesday, right? So Eddie Murphy.
And then at the end of 4 hours, would you guys be like, we got to go? Like you couldn't stay overnight?
So like they would like if my mother would never say,
Yeah.
but it was just and it was weird, and it was hard on my dad, and my dad being Italian and against divorce, he was completely couldn't believe it.
Do you know like the way that I grew up? Like when I hear you say 8 hours and then 4 hours on Wednesday, part of me inside wants to cry, man, because I know what
I feel sorry for your dad.
You can see what it's like to have the kids leave. Because they have to leave. Because
like your kids are leaving. It was it definitely was hard on him. But the cool thing was both of my parents in this weird way, comedy. Johnny Carson would be on the TV, Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy. My father loved Rodney.
Fucking great,
so
man.
Rodney. So we saw Back to School, and my father took me and my brother to see. I was in Radio City Music Hall when Rodney was on stage. I felt by the end.
Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. By the end, I fell asleep. But there was something there. But when Raw came out, I was a little kid. When Raw came out in 1987, I was probably 9 years old. And my grandmother and mother said to my father, you cannot take him. You cannot take him. It was Yonkers. It was Movie Land in Yonkers.
Okay, Yonkers.
And she said, Yonkers Movie Land.
Movie Land.
And Movie Land was the shit. That was the place. And they said, you cannot take your son. You probably shouldn't take either of them. But Paul, my brother at the time was almost 15. But you can't take Paul to see Raw. And my dad's like, fucking take you to see it. And I remember, because that was when Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours. That was Eddie Murphy was Eddie Murphy. Rock star shit. That was after Delirious.
Sure.
So a lot of people in comedy, for them, my friends, a lot of my friends in comedy are a little older. So for them, it was Delirious. But for me, it was Raw.
Yeah,
Raw.
And I watched it, and I just was like, man. And that. So then in school, I moved a lot. My parents, after the divorce, I moved a lot. So people loved the way, let Paul tell that story. I would tell stories. I would try to do I would just talk. And I think my insecurity and my anxiety, that's what kind of got me, to do it. So then, I did an open mic when I was 21 years old, and to come all the way here, I had a Comedy Central special in 18, which did good, but to have Netflix see this one and say this one belongs here, and to have it do what it's doing now, I got emotional, man. Like I've been in this 20 years, I've been doing it a long time, but good guys in the business like Bill Burr telling me, saying things like, man, you're coming, dude. It's just, somebody like you're going the real way, and it's a little longer, but it's better because it made me ready. And then when we put this out and Netflix saw it, they were like, let's do it. And it was kind of life changing, and it was a long time. My wife stuck with me, 2 kids. So, I'm not telling you.
No, but it's a commitment that you have to make. Have you ever heard me do Rodney Dangerfield?
No.
I'll tell you, take it easy. That's just that.
But it's a good
one of my favorites. I was at Rodney Dangerfield's funeral, and I knew him, and I went to go see him perform in Bally's in the 80s, and Dennis Blair opened, and we were in a line in the casino, so the line is going through the fucking slot machines, and you see these 2 security guards and the little guy, and they're like, there's a fucking old dude hunched down like this. He's walking. It's fucking Rodney. So he's walking backstage at Bally's, and people are yelling at Rodney, and he's that fucking old guy. He walks up, I'm gonna take it easy. The best, on a Sunday night, I was working at Bally's on a Sunday night. Rodney was doing a private show, and everybody was in the kitchen looking to the side door. And I saw him tell 12 jokes in a row, and every joke was better than the last. So the audience is going boom, 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 boom. And when you don't think it could get any fucking higher, he goes, "The story of my life." And it fucking
went nuts.
It's one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen with my own eyes for a comedian.
It's funny that you said that, because my father was laughing so hard at Radio City, but he was laughing at another guy laughing at Rodney because the guy couldn't catch the next joke. So he said he's laughing so hard, so he would try to come down, and he was laughing. So my dad's laughing, but my dad's looking at this guy who couldn't, because the thing with Rod, well, you remember the one that he did on Carson where he'd go and do us 5 minutes, and then he'd sit on the couch, and then 40 of them. He would just rattle 40 of them.
He had the socks. You see, remember you would see his fucking leg?
Yeah.
And he had the fucking socks? He goes, I'll tell you, Mo.
I love when
I didn't know toast had bones, huh?
I love when he would say things like, "Les, we got a rough one, but I'm doing okay now."
Hey, so how was your diet? I'll tell you, last week I was all right. And then, so Carlos Santana, so when Jay Leno takes over from The Tonight Show, nobody knows this story.
What year was that?
In the 92, 93.
Okay.
Jay takes over. Tonight Show calls Carlos Santana, said, "We would like for you to be on one of the early shows that Jay Leno was hosting." He's like, "Not interested." They call him back. Santana didn't really do things. He said, "I'll do it under one condition, that you go into the Tonight Show archives and you send me every appearance of Rodney Dangerfield on the Tonight Show."
Wow.
And he had a CD.
Wow.
I went to Carlos Santana's house in San Rafael. He had a church. They called it the church because it had all the music. He had a big screen. Nobody knows this. He had a big screen, and he would play with John Coltrane and Miles Davis.
Wow.
So Santana would say, "Mr. Miles Davis, Mr. John Coltrane," and those are my friends. And I play with my friends in the middle of the night. He plays the guitar, and he plays with them.
Wow.
But he loved Rodney, and he and I sat there drinking fucking Coronas, watching Rodney Dangerfield, and I took him a fucking doll where you push it, go, "Oh, all right." You remember the fucking doll?
The doll with the suit on. It had the red tie. Yes, I remember that.
And I brought him that fucking doll as a gift, and he would fucking push that thing, and Rodney Dangerfield was.
That's amazing.
How about those stories? Nobody
He was
knows
a good guy. Yeah, nobody knows. That was a great.
So I'm in Carlos Santana's the church up there in San Rafael, and I said to him, there wasn't a lot of gold records on the walls or anything, and I said, do you put anything up here that reminds you of what you've done? He goes, "Oh, hi, yes, yeah." There was a plaque, and it said this acknowledges that Supernatural, the album, has sold 100 million albums worldwide. It was a plaque that was this big on the wall, and you would be like,
seems like he's a humble guy.
And he goes, "Oh," also have this. And he opens it up. There's fucking 8 Grammys that he won for Supernatural at the same fucking night. They're all said, all right. But you know, he and I went upstairs and he had like this was, he gave me this. He wore this on stage, he gave me this. But he also had these artists, like he would find young artists that would do this. This is all like fucking hand-painted shit.
Yeah.
So he sent this to me, and then he had a bunch of t-shirts, like the thing I wore last week with the thing. But he would have a guy draw shit for him. He would hire a Chicano artist in San Francisco to draw stuff, and that's the stuff he wears on stage. It's Miles Davis or it's Marley or Hendrix, but not him.
Oh wow, that's you know what made me think about it when you did his voice. All these greats, right? Prince, Michael Jackson, even when Jamie Foxx was talking, when he talked to Ray Charles, talk low. They all talk like, they all have that.
They all had a
They all have
distinctive-
like a hey, how you, like you know, when you listen to them and then they go out there and just like,
You know,
it's
man,
different.
It's you know, it's funny, man, because you know, so saying like your family, like all of the things that go wrong in your life, if you are willing to take a chance,
Yeah.
if you're willing to risk what makes you uncomfortable and what makes you scared and what makes you cry and what hurts you, there could be possibly a payoff where now all of those things bring you fucking happiness and joy, right?
Yeah.
Your father, that guy saying that you're gonna end up on the fucking street, you go to Vietnam, you come back,
Yeah.
and you know, you're married 51 years. You have the thing, you see the thing.
Yeah.
You start to see, you see your grandmother, you see your grandfather, you see your dad, all those things that hurt to even see.
Yes.
They hurt you to watch.
Yeah.
And then at some point you find that your dad, listen, your dad loved comedy. That's how you found it. Your dad doesn't like comedy, it's a harder find. The fact that your dad took you to fucking Radio City Music Hall to see Rodney Dangerfield.
See Raw.
When fucking no father would do that.
Yeah.
No, I went to see Raw the first day it came out. I went by myself and I went to Valencia and saw like an 11:40 a.m.
Wow.
And I loved Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And I was working during the day. So I worked during the day and they had a Time magazine and Eddie Murphy was on the cover and it was an engineer's magazine. So I went to the copy machine and I printed, before he got in there, all the pages of the article. And I kept the pages of the article. I put the magazine back for him. And then you love Eddie Murphy. I paid to see him in the 80s. And then a few years ago, when Charlie was still alive, God rest his soul.
Rest of soul, yeah.
That we did the forum and Eddie came to my house and Charlie and Eddie spent like 6 hours together.
Wow.
And Eddie Murphy smoked weed in my media room.
Whoa.
And to think that Eddie Murphy would be in my house when I was a planner and I would run articles of him just so I didn't have to steal the magazine, but I could still read the article, is all of the shit that hurts us if you're willing to risk and willing to be alone and willing to not have people go with you, like, hey man, come with me to the club. Oh man, I gotta work in the morning. And then you either say, well, fuck it, I'm not going, or you go.
Yeah. And even if my father was being selfish by saying, I want to see Eddie Murphy, so I'm going to take my young kid, that I'll take that. But you know what? That's where haters come from, what you just said. Because what a hater does, people that criticize and people that hate, they didn't take that risk. And then they see somebody that did, and then what they're doing is they're projecting. They're just projecting because you went to the club that night, or you decided to go, I'm going to do this open mic. And it's scary.
But it's not one time, it's fucking hundreds. Those motherfuckers can say to you, you suck, but it's fucking hundreds. They're not even giving you the credit of, they're just saying, you're not funny, you suck. But they're not there in those nights where you can't find a place to park. It's fucking raining. You got to run in. You're running behind. You call a place. Hey man, hang on. This, that guy fucking eats it before you. Whatever. And they're not there for it. It's too easy to fucking hate. Like, sure, they would have wanted to do it.
It's easy to hate.
But it's easy.
It's such a waste of.
But also,
energy.
like, to go, like. Do you remember being in line to get into the Radio City? Like, you remember fucking sitting in your seat?
I remember the chaos before it started. I want to say, I think if my memory, I was young and it's kind of vague. It's not vivid. I want to say Bob Nelson came out. It could
have been, Bob Nelson. It could have been Dennis Blair. He was Bob Nelson because of the Young Comedian special. Bob Nelson did Jiffy Jeff with the helmet.
He came out and he put the balloons in his shoulders.
Yep.
I want to say that Nelson came out, and I remember that. I remember we were sitting in the balcony. Here's a crazy story. Me and my father were in a comedy room together 2 times ever. One, when me and him are in the balcony with my older brother to watch Rodney after Back to School came out. And the second time, my father was in the balcony watching me open for Bill Burr at Carnegie Hall. That was the second time. And my father still only, that's the only time my father, had watched me. My father watched my special on TV, and he called and he was like, that was great. He's a critical guy, but he was great with it.
What do you mean he's a critical guy?
If he didn't like it, he would have told me, and he would have told me.
He would say, "Hey, man, what
he would
the
have been like, Paul, I love you, you're my son." He always prefaces it. Listen, I love you, not for anything, and then he would just he would go in. Well, that's what I talk about on my
not
special.
For anything.
Well, on my special, Nocturnal Emissions, my father, when he was upset, because he loved us. So Sicilians, they can't be mad at you if they love you. And my father didn't love anybody more than he loved me and my brother. So he couldn't be mad because it looked like it was like bad for the family. Yeah. So he would say, "I'm a little confused." That was the thing. I saw this thing. I'm a little. Just help me out. Like that would be him going, "What the fuck is this?" No, not for nothing. My daughter.
Not for nothing.
My daughter's name.
So they're playing dumb. They're not dumb, but they're playing dumb because they're trying to get that from.
Right. Like.
Hey, so wait a minute. Help me understand.
Right, yeah.
Not for nothing.
So my daughter's name is Sophia Erin. My daughter's name is Sophia Erin Virzi, okay? My dad calls me, "Oh, Paul, like, beautiful, congratulations, baby girl. You named her Sophia, like Sophia Loren. That's beautiful." He goes, "But then I noticed, I'm a little... Erin, that's Irish. Where the fuck does that come?
E-R-I-N?
E-R-I-N.
Yeah.
And I'm a little confused. What? Sophia Virzi's beautiful time. Why you throw Irish in the middle? Don't get excited. Then he always said, don't get upset. Don't get upset. Don't get excited. But what the fuck is Irish doing? And I'm like, my wife, my wife. So for him, he was forget my wife's side. Forget any of that. It's got to be his thing, So when he was upset, if I never did a bit, like when he called after the special, I knew he saw it, and he goes, "I'm so proud, you got a good way of doing this." But he said to me, he goes, "If I didn't like it, because that's the reason some people didn't like my dad, because my dad was very much like, nah, fuck that, like my dad saw the Chris Rock get slapped. And my dad's a street kid, like not a street kid, but my dad's like, no, you got to fight. What's he doing? And I'm like, well, Dad, he was in a situation like my dad won't.
His dad said, he's got to fight. What's he doing?
Yeah,
that fucking guy hit you.
Right. So I tried to tell him, Dad, Chris Rock is at the Oscars. He got taken by. I don't know. Nah, fuck that. We don't fucking do that. I would have fucking. I'd have been arrested. I'd have killed the fuck. Like I would have jumped in. I would have beat him in the crowd like that. So my dad couldn't. He's just one of those. You can't really talk.
You know how fucking much. You know how much I would fucking love to be sitting around his dad and outside drinking beer going, "Hey, George, you're a comedian. What the fuck? Would you not have fucking slapped his ass?"
No, my dad. I tell you right now, my dad would love you, and I'm sure if my dad saw you, because the way you conduct yourself, the way you are, there's that old school thing. Yeah. My dad, and I saw, you dress not, you know what I mean? Like my dad would be like, "Oh, this guy,
have good watches."
You like, look at his shoes. This guy knows what he's doing. Like that's my dad's, thing. So, but yeah, it was a different thing to. But I didn't grow up with it all the time.
But at some point, you stopped looking at your dad as your dad and started looking at him as a fucking muse for comedy.
Yeah.
Because if he's going, hey, listen, not for nothing,
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get you upset. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, all of that stuff is shit that. You can't, if you don't see it, you can't write it.
I'll tell you guys something, okay? I'm working on this for the new hour, but I don't give a shit. I'll tell you this story. So this you're gonna love this. So my father wrote a letter to Geraldo Rivera. Okay, listen to this shit. Okay.
What year? To the son of Sam?
No, the fucking a month, 2 months, like, fucking last, like recently.
Recently?
Yeah, son of Sam. This just happened.
Not even when he opened the vault.
Son of Sam. My father so
Son of Sam fucking a month ago.
By the way, my parents grew up. My parents grew up where the son of Sam. They grew up.
Did they know
They
him?
grew up.
I mean, not that.
My aunt had a friend who did laundry.
Berkowitz.
No, my aunt had a friend who was folding laundry in the laundry place of the building with Berkowitz. Yeah, because that whole area in Yonkers, and they knew the park, that satanic thing, that park that was there. That they knew that too.
So let me tell you something. Remember the parks on the weekend and all that stuff. So if they would say, "Come over here, Lydia, come over here, tell what happened." I used to fold laundry where David Berkowitz used to fucking do our laundry at the same place. What? It's a fucking badge of honor. Bring her over here. You already know the story. Oh, all right. I mean, it's like your story. It's your story to tell, huh?
Yeah. So my father's very, very patriotic, and my father's very, very conservative, and my father is very, very. He does not take lightly to people bad mouthing the country. For better or worse, he's like American, to the point where even if America did something that was like a little, maybe we should. He's like, nah, you got to do what you got to do, like that, right? So he calls.
Your dad's got a friend.
Yeah. So my dad calls me up, and my dad goes, "Hey, Paul, I'm a little."
But also, let me say, in America now, it's quite an old-fashioned attitude. Somebody that stays American the whole time.
And that's what gets him. And I think that's what gets him to.
Right. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
But it's a good thing. It's a good point.
No, it's actually a good point you said, because that's kind of what drives him even nuts now. Because what gets him mad is that he sees people separate a little bit, and he sees national pride go away and looked at as something bad. So he calls me up. He goes, "Yeah, Paul, I'm a little excited. I don't mean to be." And I know he goes, I'm walking around, pacing around the fucking house. He's like, he goes, this Geraldo Rivera fuck? And I go, yeah, Dad, I know who Geraldo.
You know this Geraldo Rivera fuck?
Oh, he goes right. He dives right.
Oh.
And I go, yeah, I know. He goes, listen to this shit. He goes, he's on the fucking TV, and he just goes. Now I just have to. I'm just.
Are you doing this? You do this in stand up? Like you're standing there, you're saying this Geraldo Rivera fuck?
No. This is a new bit I'm working on, but it's true, and it may change. But he calls me up. I go, yeah. He goes, yeah. He's talking negative about the country. He's saying some of the things they did in the Middle East were right. This treasonous fuck. He's going nuts, right? He goes, but the good news is they left an email address on the TV, and they said if anybody wants to contribute. So I decided to write Geraldo Rivera a letter. He always says his first name, the whole name. Geraldo Rivera. So I wrote Geraldo Rivera a letter. He goes, can I read it to you? He goes, I know you're out there in the world, whatever the fuck that means. I know you're out there in the world, so I'm going to read this. And I
know you're out there in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, you know there's a Geraldo Rivera fuck.
So I swear to God, he reads it. He reads it to me. I'm not making this up. This is what he said. He goes, all right, hold on a second. And I could tell he's putting his glasses on. He's looking. I could tell. And he goes, all right, Paul, here you go. He goes, dear Geraldo Rivera, you half a man fuck. How dare you speak about the United States of America like that, you treasonous motherfucker. I can't believe they gave an ugly fuck like you a television show in the first place with your stupid fucking mustache. If I ever see you, I'm going to smack those dumb glasses off your fucking head. You don't deserve this country or to make money in this country, you fucking half a man fuck. Anyways, go fuck yourself. Sincerely, Thomas J. Virzi. And then I swear to God, he goes like this. He waits a beat and he goes, Paul, be honest. What'd you think? Well, yeah, Dad, you know what? They're going to read that tonight. He's going to read that on the air tonight. You should have made it longer to let him know. You should have made it longer to let him know how you really feel about it.
Well, he'll hear it now. He'll hear it now.
Oh, fuck. I think we got a new high water mark. That's the hardest I've laughed.
Oh, God.
You know what? That's an
good.
honor because you're a fucking legend. So.
God bless your
Hey,
dad.
listen, you don't need 4 pages. You need a fucking paragraph. Listen, hey, fucking miserable fuck.
And then he just goes, I hope he reads it. Like he just sent, but in his mind, he needed to. In his mind, he got so upset about that, and he's, how could he talk about, we're in conflicts, and you can't do that, and he just had to do that. But that's what my dad is.
It says a lot.
I tell you what, if I'm lucky enough, I'll be able to meet your dad and shake his hand one time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
God
No, you
bless
would
him.
you would love you would.
I
He's
do
another
already.
he's another breed, man. He's from another time, and he's so fun because he's down south in Florida. So
Is that where he moved to Florida?
West Palm, and he'll just call me with obvious shit. He'll call me with obvious shit, but he always complains.
I'll be in Miami the end of this month.
He'll call me up and be like, yeah, I'm down here in Florida. It's fucking hot down here. It's fucking humid down here. They got lizards running around. It's like wild down here. I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's fucking, you're not the first.
Right? They fucking move down.
Oh, fuck.
And it's humid as fuck. But where's he? He doesn't live in the villages or anything like that.
No,
where
no.
everybody fucks
You know what?
everybody.
I haven't
At the
actually.
villages, everybody, all those old people all fuck each other. Like you play golf forever.
Yeah.
But they're also fucking each other.
Do you golf?
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Do you?
Yeah, I love.
Oh, yeah.
Love, yeah, man, yeah.
Big time.
I'm a big
Oh,
golfer.
you golf too?
No, not me.
I'm a huge
I
golfer.
can't
I'm a
get
huge
my
golfer.
ball through
Yeah.
the
What do you
windmill.
usually shoot? What's your?
I'm a 10.
Oh, you're a 10. Okay. Yeah.
I played on the pro-ams and stuff.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
You play with Santino?
No, I'm like no, not yet. I might do his show, but I have not. I haven't
at
played.
Lakeside.
I'm like a 18. You know, I'm
Yeah.
like an
Let's
18,
play,
but
we'll play.
I don't get to play like I want to play more.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where, especially when you do this job, I'll go out, I'll play 3 weeks in a row, and I'll start getting the score down and everything, and then 5
But also,
weeks
it's
I don't play.
it's a great sport for us to play because you get away from everybody and you can hang out with people.
I smoke cigars out there, and I just.
Yeah, we'll have to play, man. I'll take you to play. Santino hit me up about playing, but we'll play.
Yeah. Do you play normally the same course out here?
I'm a member at a couple of clubs. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I'm a member at a club where in 1997 I didn't have the right pants to even get through the gates.
I had to buy
motherfucker.
clothes to go on the golf course with him one time. I didn't golf. I was just gonna be in a cart with him.
But he was with Pesci. Like Pesci plays in my turn. Hey, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He plays in my
Fucking bogey.
So I'm up on the Seacock as the cops. I want to go tell you to fuck your mother. Pow, pow, ping. Man, what are you doing here? You're gonna tell me something, tough guy. Wait, I already told you to go fuck your mother. Pow,
What
pow,
are you doing
ping.
here? I thought you go fuck
Fuck
your
your-
that's just.
I mean, I get. You know, he sings and all that stuff. You know.
I actually saw there was a picture. I saw a picture of him at like 14 years old with like a guitar. Singing
Joey
and
D.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
Didn't he
I know him
discover
quite well.
Frankie Valli? Didn't
Yeah,
he
Frankie
discover
Valli.
That's
he was part of-
amazing.
yeah.
I know him quite well, and this is I also know Jack. The
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. If I should say the story. I told Jim Brewer, and Jim Brewer told the story on Howard Stern, and then Jim Brewer, after he told the story, said, "I hope you don't mind. I told the story, motherfucker. You had to tell me before, not after." So Jack Nicholson would play, but he was, you know, he'd play as he'd move around. So him and Joe Pesci are playing at Lakeside, and Billy Andrade, who's a pro, misses the cut at the Buick Open in San Diego. He drives down, and he gets there, and he says, "Oh, I might play with Mr. Pesci." He goes, "Oh, they're on the putting on the 8th hole, and the 9th hole's a par 3." So he takes the cart and he goes around. He's kind of laying back, and Jack fans went out to the right. And Billy Andrew, who just got there, says, "I think I'll be able to help Jack." And he goes, "Yeah, go, Jack." Goes up there, he goes, "Jack, I think I have a tip that can help you." And Jack goes, "Yeah. Everybody's got a tip for Jack. Well, I got a tip for you, buddy. You could take that tip and shove it up your fucking ass." So his fucking eyes are this big. And he goes back to the cart and he walks by Joe and he goes, "What did he say?" He goes, "Nothing." He goes, "What did he say?" He goes, "Nothing." "What did motherfucker say?" He said, "He told me to go fuck myself." So he walks up to him. He goes, "Hey, you motherfucker. Hey, my friend. I don't care who it is." And he goes, "That's my friend. You're talking about friend. You're fucking." He goes, "You and your friend can go fuck you." So now he's been there less than 5 minutes. He's got Joe Pesci and Jack Nicholson nose to nose.
Oh.
I don't give a fuck who he is.
Wow.
And he's got them nose to nose fighting.
What year is this?
This was in the mid '90s.
Holy shit, that would have been something.
How
to
about
see.
that?
That's amazing. Now wait, I see you're because I'm a big Knicks guy. You're a big Laker guy.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah.
And I love the Knicks too. I mean,
I'm dying for it, man. I'm dying.
they're going to be
for
good,
it.
huh?
And no, I'm just dying for it because we
know-
need it, man. We need it.
I met Earl the Pearl Monroe. I met Walt Frazier. I mean, fuck, man.
Oh, man.
Those are the guys.
Those
Dr.
well,
J.
they haven't won since those guys, 73. The Knicks won in 70,
I
73
remember.
and have not
Fucking
won.
David Busher.
Russell just passed.
Bill
Yeah,
Russell.
rest
I
his
played
soul,
golf with
man.
Bill Russell.
Oh,
So
11 times, man. 11-time champion. That doesn't happen. You're not going to see a guy get 11 again.
Okay, let me say this. Bill Russell, God rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
They won so many championships that they stopped giving rings, and they would say, "What do you guys want? Like a sofa, a tea set?"
yeah,
they started giving fucking silver tea sets. Because the wives would say they started giving refrigerators out for winning the championship.
Wow, because there's so many?
A fucking dinette set, a fucking armoire. They go, "I only got 2 rings." They start giving you a fucking silver tea set.
Oh, shit.
Because they won so much.
They won so much.
They're like, "What are we gonna?" The ring wasn't the thing.
Well, I'll tell you, how crazy is this? If Tom Brady gets one more and gets 8, that's in the NFL. That's unheard of.
Unheard of.
I mean, 5 is unheard of. 6 is unheard of. But the guy, if he gets one more, he's got 8 as a quarterback in today's NFL. Today's NFL is not the NFL.
No.
And when you look at the speed now and all that, and this guy found a way, and he's not a system quarterback too. They say system quarterback. I think Tom Brady found a way. But look, he gets to Tampa Bay. They win the first year he gets. He leaves New England after all 18 years, and then
But also, he left the way that we fucking would have left. Where he said, "Motherfucker, I made you."
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Motherfucker, I wouldn't have won a fucking I wouldn't have won a Super Bowl without you. I'll show you what the fuck.
That's exactly right. He left going, "Oh, they're saying I'm a product of this team and the coach and the system," and then he goes to Tampa Bay, new coach, new team, and wins again.
Fucking wins.
That's man.
I mean, that's incredible.
No, that's actually a good point. It's like he basically said to solidify that it's not them. I'm going to go win on my own, and he did it. But
because somebody told you, and somebody tells all of us, it's not you. It's like, no, motherfucker. Anybody could have done that. No, it's not.
Do you mind if I ask a question about the crime? Can I do that?
Yeah, of course.
Because I was watching the documentaries. I watched these documentaries, and I was watching the Son of Sam one, and I was just wondering if you had any insight on this, where they said that in the documentary, there was a murder that he did, but around the same time where he couldn't get to another place, there was another one, and they're saying that cult, there was, instead of it just being the Son of Sam, he admitted, even when he got, I guess, mentally better, that he had the majority of them, but others were done by others in that cult. Is there any truth to that? Or
Son of Sam,
that's a great question.
I don't have it, because there was almost at that time question. Our guy, was he good for other ones, or did other people do them? Circumstantially, we didn't care. We didn't file any circumstantial stuff. It was only stuff that we had good evidence.
Do you think that there were people sacrificing people, like devilish shit? That
they were definitely
saying, right?
Well, they were definitely sacrificing German shepherds and dogs. That was a big thing. What they did, they were killing dogs in that park, and there were all signs. But he admitted to, out of the 6 or 7 of the women, he admitted to the majority. But there was 1 or 2, and then the people that they said did it. One guy died in a single car crash. Right. Another guy killed himself. Another guy got killed. So it just makes you, and it makes you. And the documentary kind of says it. And then they tried to talk to him, and he didn't. He didn't want to talk.
But also, he's holding information that. I mean, are you such a devotee that you're going to hold this information that would really blow the case open again, or are you taking the hit?
That's the same thing Richard said. If he had information that we didn't know, his ego would not let us know that. He was sharper than us.
Yeah,
he wanted to show us.
I don't watch that one. I couldn't watch that one, and I don't watch one. The ones that I don't watch are the ones with children. I can't.
Did you ever see Mystic River, the movie?
Yeah. Yeah, with the Clint Eastwood movie.
Where they killed, where the little girl gets killed.
And then Tim Robbins. That was.
You know, when you have kids, it's different.
That's the thing. I have little ones, and that's when I can't. When I hear about that stuff, I can't.
Watch the Netflix documentary on Richard. There's only one kid that's involved.
You let her live.
And she lived, and now she's in the documentary at about 42 years of age.
He let her live.
And she's a wonderful lady. She's a great lady.
When you talk to a guy like that, like when you sit down and you talk to a guy like that, are you just like, do you like see the evil? Like, do you feel that it's... No.
No, it's all Jesus.
You know what it is?
He's another human just like you.
But you know what they have? Like you say, if your dad or anybody, these motherfuckers had a mystique where they were larger than life. Hey, and the shark bites. Hey, babe. They got motherfuckers... They're ego. They're all ego, right?
Yeah.
They're fucking larger than life.
And well, they're all
ego.
they're all charming. And like they come in and they seem like they're like Bundy. Like women love the kid.
They're grandiose, self-grandiose. And then when he got caught, he said, "What? He was just fucking. It was all gone.
It was nothing more than another human.
It was all gone.
And like Tom Brady, when people said, "What was it like?" Tom Brady, just another guy out there, father a husband,
Yep.
a buddy, go to a bar, let's
Brother,
drink.
yeah.
On Sunday, put that helmet on,
Yeah.
and it's all about the game. So when I went in to talk to Richard, everything went out the room. It's all about the game. It's now game time. You got to
He
be
was
ready.
caught. Like now he's caught.
So it takes away when they get caught and that mystique is gone.
It took away
then
his-
it takes away a little bit.
right?
Of
It let the fucking air out of his.
It just now, it's just me and you, and I need information from you, so it's game day. So I need to do everything I can, put every trick I have in my pocket to get him to talk. That's all it is.
And he didn't want to talk. He got caught.
That's all.
Wow.
Doesn't make a difference.
You know,
Wow.
there's a Chicano thing. You know, this guy Rich Ramirez it's in the documentary. He's shackled, and he's got the two lawyers, which were like novice fucking lawyers,
Yeah,
bad
they
lawyers.
are.
And the DA is talking about Rich Ramirez in front of him, and he starts like a Chicano and say, "Hey, you fucking puto, fucking talking shit." He's doing this shit,
Yeah.
and like anybody would say, "Hey, man, I'm not gonna stand here and let you fucking talk shit about me. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
who you think I am." And it's very like from the neighborhood. Like you're gonna let that dude fucking say that shit about you? No, there's no way. Even though he had
Yeah.
done what he had done, you could see the fucking spirit of it come out of him. Like
Wow,
fuck this
man.
guy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's and that's why we watch.
So what is your acting? What do you want to?
So-
what would make you happy? Like where do you see yourself?
For number one for me is stand up. So like each hour is getting better, and this one having amazing. I've had some legendary comedians reach out and say some things about this one. So I want to keep putting hours out, but now getting small parts here and there. I like acting, but I don't want to act and pursue acting where I'm going on auditions and doing that. I want to act where it's like if that part fits me or somebody
Yeah.
sees me through my comedy.
Right.
Wants I think Paul Virzi. I saw that could be that character could be good for this. But I would say, man, just not to sound corny or cliche, but man,
No.
if me and my wife and my kids are happy and healthy, and I'm doing what I love, and I'm making hours of stand up that are getting better and better, and I could get some parts in some things and do that. I do a couple of podcasts, man. I'm good.
So how long you been married?
This November will be 15.
God.
And your wife, you guys are in love, happy, partners?
Yes. We're so different. My wife is just my wife's Scandinavian, but just a bulldog, just a general. Like anything my wife does, she goes to the top. She'll become the vice president.
She's not Greek, is she?
No, she's like Swedish,
Scandinavian.
Finnish. She's got
Where'd you meet
some
her?
Irish. She's got just in the neighborhood. When growing up, knew of her. Just but my wife is just strong, man. Strong. Like my wife is the anchor. She's like the one that she could see when I start going down a road of because this job is everything in life, and I dealt with some mental health things because of my mom and stuff, just anxiety and OCD and shit like that. So my wife kind of watches out, and she's really good though, man.
Did it
She's tough.
surprise you that you had anxiety or OCD, like a little bit? Did it surprise you?
No, because
Did your dad know?
my
Your dad like, hey, what the fuck?
No, what happened? It started because of the divorce. Because I was stripped of a lot of security young.
Sure.
And I was always worried something would happen to my mom. My dad wasn't around. They were fighting. So there would be we had a little like. Passway through from our living room would go to their kitchen, and there was a column.
Yeah.
And when I was in third grade, I would just start walking around the column, and they were going, "Well, how come he's not just walking right through?" And that, I didn't realize, but for me, it was like this weird security thing, and I'm in like the third grade, so I would just walk around this thing, and then I would just start doing things, and I would start to feel like I would need to do something, so I would have the anxiety, and it was from a little kid, and I spoke to doctors and stuff. So now. I have a good understanding of that. I know that I need to be rested. I know that I need to, whether it's talk to somebody or but it's gotten to the point, rest his soul, Kobe Bryant, man, who, if you listen to that kid talk and you listen to his quotes, but he said, like, sometimes being your own therapist. So sometimes, I could say to myself, Paul, this is what's happening right now. So just kind of,
Yeah.
But I think that that definitely played
But
a
also,
big part.
if you talk to a professional, then you're able to identify, like a detective, you're able to identify the flags that are raised when you go, oh, okay, I need to chill the fuck out, or I need to, be careful of this.
Yeah, like certain things, I'd be like, you know what, I'm not going to drink for a while. I'm not that was ever a problem, but like I just know if I get tired, if I get run down, if I'm traveling a lot, I just, you can just get yourself. You could go down a path where now I'm strong enough to go. You know what, man, you need some rest. You're not,
But and you have it too. A woman, he's been married 51 years.
Wow.
but also,
50.
you know, like they say, if you want to go,
If I'd have killed her that first year, I'd already been out of the joint.
yeah. But to have somebody that is not an opponent to someone's path or success, you
Yeah.
see a lot of times where when you start to get some success, it starts to threaten your partner, and there could be a bit of self imploding or getting on someone to a point where you're trying to prevent them from being the best that they can be.
Yeah, no,
but it's a
luckily I
fucking
was the opposite.
subliminal fucking thing.
Yeah, it was opposite.
I listened to my wife. She is the wind beneath. She's always been the wind beneath my wings. She's
fucking
allowed me to walk forward. She's been, but
Did you actually say the wind beneath your wings?
yeah, the wind beneath my wings. She's allowed me to be in front. Now, she has said. Now there's been a push from some people that.
All I can hear is his dad. Hey, Gil, not for nothing, bro. That's a fart. That ain't a fucking wind.
I mean, this guy's, this guy's
fucking guy, this fucking Gil fuck over
he's
here.
quoting
like
Bette Midler over here.
Yeah. So
No.
Now I've been asked. They've been trying to get me to do 10 minutes stand up.
Oh, motherfucker, if you become a stand-up, I'll light you on fire.
And so, they've been saying, hey, do stand up. We'll help you. We'll write. So just get up there and do it. You're so funny up there when I get up there with Momo and the guys. And I told the wife, I said, what do you think about me doing 10 minutes? They're asking me to do this. And she just said, no.
What if you walk up there and you go, I know what you're thinking. Gabriel Iglesias really let himself go. But also, it might not have to be stand-up. It might just be hosting. Like, don't say it's don't give it a title.
Right.
Just say they asked me to introduce somebody, and you slip like boxing. You slip a couple.
Yeah,
in.
because if you start a show and you
I
say,
can
hey,
do
welcome
that.
to comedy.
Don't put the pressure on yourself by saying I want to be stand-up. Just say, let me go up. You did ring announcing, right? Let me go up and add a couple in, and then you bring somebody up. That's different. You know what, man? I mean, you're fucking great, man. I think you're great,
dude. I appreciate you.
Me roll.
And I love the fact that you're willing to take the path less traveled.
Yeah, you know what? I've had, like I said, to have a mentor and a friend like a guy like Bill Burr and even some other guys that I opened for before I was headlining, just, let me know, like, I wanted to do it the right way.
It's a big deal to have a guy like, or have a headliner bring a guy, because, it's a almost like you go, hey, you have a gold medal, you have it's a silver medal, and they're getting the audience when they're in their fucking prime, maximum, you're up there and you're fucking chewing up this half hour that the guy's got to come. But to be able to trust somebody for that time that that you don't, Burr's not looking at the corner, he can trust you.
Oh, yeah.
Or people that bring you can trust you for that half hour. Like when Brian and I worked together with Ruben, like it would be half an hour, and it's like, dude, don't do 27 minutes, don't do 32 minutes, do 30 because I'm all about time. I get dressed I have people give me certain time, and I get dressed at a certain time. So if they go short and they open the door and they say, hey, man, you're on. What? I don't have my fucking tie on. That's them, not me.
Yeah.
So they know that they have to do their time because I run by time.
It's funny you say that because I know time so well. Like my wife will go, how long has it been? I'll be like, it's been about 18 minutes. And she's like, what the fuck? We know it. But no, and that's the thing. I haven't worked with Bill in almost 5 years. And I remember we were smoking a cigar and he goes, it's great to see you go and do your thing and then to go off and do these specials and stuff. And now I'm bringing guys up. And when they see that, I'll tell guys, I'll go, listen, it's one thing to have a ton of followers because you do a dance on TikTok. Okay, you do a dumb dance on TikTok or you do something like that and you fill a club. I go, it's another thing to have the time. It's another thing to give a fucking show for an hour. So I said, depending on what you want to do, if you want to be YouTube famous and do that, great. But if you want to be great at this, there's no shortcuts in this. And that's what's gotten me, here. And what was so gratifying was we didn't know when the special came out where it would go, and Netflix was even kind of like, we don't know. And then they saw it and they said, this belongs here. And I knew when we did it. So it was the work. And you can't fuck with work. No. You can't fuck with work and funny. And when it's sustained for 60 minutes, that just can't be fucked with.
No, you can't fuck with that. And the fact that the preparation is like a surgeon. You know, the patient lives, but also when you're trying to prepare an hour, you have forces of a room service, a loud noise room, whatever the fuck noise, but you have to drown that all out because what matters is that day. Like I would do my specials live because I was a fan of boxing. So if it's...
Which is so unbelievable that you did that and so ballsy.
We're in August right now and they say, okay, HBO wants to talk to you. They say July 12th, you're going to do a live special. Okay, so now I go from just regular comedian to now thinking of myself as a fighter, and I'm fighting July 12th.
That's crazy.
So whatever from August 1st to July 12th, I have to prepare myself so that July 12th, I'm my best on that night at that particular time.
And here's what's even more incredible about that. It's not like you're doing it on a date where you got an 8 and a 10 and they could edit them together. No. You're going, and another guy, a great guy who did that was Brian Regan. Yeah. But like you're one of the best and such a nice person. But usually when you do a special, you shoot an 8 o'clock and you shoot at 10 o'clock. You figure out one of them was probably 80, 90% better. You may take some audience from this or that sometimes and you put together a show. Going live is like, this is it. That's when I saw that, I was like, that's some next level shit.
I did America's Mexican, and I did it in Phoenix, and this fucking jib camera went across me, and you could see the red light on the camera. And I thought, everybody on HBO is watching me right now. Like, you see the camera go by, and you see the camera in the back. And my last line was, I had no mother, I had no father. They told me I couldn't make it. They told me I ended up on the street. I ended up on the street on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh my God.
And the thing flashes and I take the microphone away and I said, and that's right, you could see me mouthing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I took the microphone away.
Wow.
It's like when you say shit to yourself.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that was my focus of doing the things live.
Have you ever had a moment on stage? This happened to me a couple times, but where you get emotional, but then all of a sudden then all of a sudden it flips. I was on stage it was when I was at Carnegie, and I just had talked about having 2 little kids, and I realized in that moment, even though I wasn't a national headliner yet, I was opening for somebody, but I remember going, I'm on the right path, and I'm standing up, and I'm killing Carnegie Hall, and I'm talking about my kids, and all of a sudden, I started to, and I'm going, you can't fucking cry right now. And my father would have been like, the fuck are you crying for? I'm a little, no, good set, but I'm a little, are you fucking crying? So, but yeah, you can catch yourself in a moment.
Do you want to do Radio City on your own?
Radio City on my own or MSG.
Yeah,
that would be something that
what's MSG?
Madison Square Garden.
I did. I sold out Radio City Music Hall 3 times.
Wow.
And once on a Saturday, and once again on the next Saturday.
Wow.
And in the headliners room, they bring a book and they go, if you get a chance, we have all the headliners sign this book, and the book is sitting there, and you're looking, and I get there way early. I get there way earlier than a fucking comedian. It's fucking 5:30. The show's I go up at 9:30. I'm there at 5:30, and you start to look through it, and you see Diana Ross, and you see Bruce Springsteen,
yeah, it's crazy,
and you see the Rockettes, and then you see George Gershwin and fucking Artie Shaw and Benny Goodman in a fucking book that you get to sign.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Bro,
I closed that fucking book. I said, everybody that came in the room that said, hey, what's that book? Don't open that fucking book until the show's over,
yeah,
man.
I totally get that.
You're awesome, man, dude.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor.
You really are fucking great,
man.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, man.
Honor meeting
Pleasure.
you.
Oh, likewise.
And what are we talking
about?
What special are we talking about?
Netflix Nocturnal Admissions, streaming right now on Netflix.
Which is a great title. You know what Nocturnal Admissions is? A wet dream,
certainly
right?
But this one is Admissions. So it's So Nocturnal Admissions, it's streaming right now. It's doing well. You can check that out. And
Nocturnal Admissions.
A shard.
Check out paulvirzi.com, my podcast, The Virzi Effect. I also co-host a podcast called Anything Better with Bill Burr. And man, check out my dates. I'm traveling, so all this stuff is on paulvirzi.com.
Fucking Paul Virzi.
Appreciate you.
I know, man. Awesome, dude.
Thank you.